while it might not look like it, for the past 2 years, I've been hard at work making video games.
Oh, yeah.
But nowadays, if you don't post about it online, did it really even happen? So in this video, I want to reflect on the 15 games I made and bundle all the lessons I learned into a nicely wrapped gift. After the release of my game, I was fortunate enough to be hired by one of the only South African game studios, Freelance. While you may not recognize their name, they're the studio behind several very successful indie titles, including Broforce, Gorn, Terranol, and more recently, Angerfoot, Sticker to the Stickman, and Side Effects. I've been able to work with some talented people, travel to conferences, showcase my games at festivals, and take part in remote game jams with developers from all around the world. So how the company works is we make a prototype and then get some form of external validation in order to greenlight the project and work on it further. If it isn't well received, we move on and try the next idea. This is called the fail fast method. The goal is to fail as fast as possible to prevent wasting too much time on an idea that doesn't actually show potential. This is easier said than done though, because as a developer, it's very easy to become too attached to your project and unable to let it go, which is something I've struggled with a lot in the past. So, the point of this video is to show off all the failures I worked on at the company. But Daniel, it's not a failure because you learnt, yes, well I learnt a ton, and it was also useful to the studio to test those ideas. I obviously would have preferred if they all blew up. But that's the nature of this industry. Nobody needs to play your game. You need to make something that others will want to play.
No! What? Why? Why?
When I joined, I was the youngest at the company, and so a lot of the old-timers referenced games I had never heard about. One of those games was the 90s classic Lero, and our lead designer wanted to create a more modern version of it. Introducing Fight Dirty, an online multiplayer arena shooter for up to 6 players, featuring fully destructible terrain. Drill and grapple your way around a crumbling battlefield as you compete for the best weapons and fight to be the last player standing. If you die, you get a choice of upgrade, helping to balance the game and keep things interesting. The first player to win 5 rounds wins the match. Unfortunately, the game lacked a strong, coherent theme, and adding half a dimension didn't really add much. I originally wanted the game to be about a mad scientist performing experiments on ants, but due to time constraints and us not having a full-time artist on the team, we couldn't really achieve that. Another issue was that PvP games need enough players. Like all our other prototypes, we released it on itch first, but it's not really the best platform for multiplayer games. So we tried a free demo on Steam, but the results were pretty much the same. At that point, we figured it was either the game itself, or maybe the genre just isn't that popular right now. A genre that's definitely not starved for players is friend slop. But at the time we started this next game, that wasn't even a term yet. Scumbags is a fumblecore heist game where you steal items each day and sell them off to pay for the ever-increasing cost of rent. You then invest the money you have left into new gear to use on your next heist. As time goes on, you unlock new locations with different ways to break in, like using a car to smash through breakable walls, or even jumping from a building with a helium balloon to squeeze through a crack in the ceiling. The more you rob a location, the tighter its security becomes, until eventually the store shuts down for good. Sometimes you'll get intel to help you choose a map and plan your next heist. like which items are currently worth more on the black market, or whether there are any celebrities nearby who could be kidnapped for a massive ransom. If you've paid rent, you can leave and keep the cash you've saved. But if you haven't, you lose it all and get locked up. One of our main issues was content. Creating a heist game with scripted breaking points meant that the game relied heavily on us needing to make more maps and content ourselves, which just wasn't scalable for a team our size. A better solution would have been to just make it procedural, remove all lighting from the scene, and give them flashlights. We also didn't quite get the fantasy right of being a scumbag. Because we didn't have a full-time artist, I had to use asset packs and make some of the artwork myself, and so areas felt a bit generic. The network physics was also a massive pain to work with. Most multiplayer games use a server authoritative approach, but because our game was fast-paced, we wanted to avoid input lag, so we chose to simulate physics on each client instead. While this worked, in hindsight I would have much rather accepted a bit of input lag in exchange for a simpler and more reliable system.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
Apparently not learning from our previous mistakes about multiplayer physics, we began work on Trek. In the game, your research team has crash-landed on an alien planet. Your goal now is to reach the top of a mountain in order to broadcast a signal back to the orbiting space station. I know, very original, but there's a catch. On this planet, when rain falls on dry soil, a foul toxic gas rises from the ground. To survive, you'll need to figure out some way to suspend yourself above it and begin your trek up the mountain. The map is divided into 4 main sections. The crash site contains all the wreckage needed to rebuild your ship. Your next logical step is to, well, build legs for it, of course. And you do so by getting logs and tendrils. The blueprint system was a fun idea, but it probably didn't justify the extra effort required to make a full multiplayer physics game. The charm that comes with active ragdolls was pretty great though. Once you reach the sap forest, you can harvest the resources needed to extend your ship and cover it with buildings. My hope was that you'd have to build powered cannons to defend yourself against the fog monsters, but I never got around to implementing that. Next up, the helium forest contains plants which can be used to craft helium balloons to lift yourself over the ravine. Finally, you can reach the summit and build a tower using lodestones to send a signal. All this to say that the scope of the game was simply far too large. I was actually really happy with this project's codebase. It felt modular and scalable, and I was very organized while working on it, which is a bad thing. Why? Well, as I mentioned earlier, when working on a prototype, it's very easy to become misguided and too attached to a project that probably should have been scrapped much sooner. Taking a break from multiplayer, but sticking to our love for active ragdolls, we began work on Boat Cats, a game inspired by Cult of the Lamb, where we explored the absurd dichotomy of cute cats and violent Vikings. You play as the captain of a Viking longboat, raiding and pillaging across the land to rescue cats captured by the evil seagulls. They're the evil ones, right? On your longboat, your crew of cats are in constant need of your love, attention, and waste removal services. As your crew grows, you'll need to feed them and build more beds, litter boxes, and scratching poles to keep them happy. The happier your cats are, the more affection you receive to upgrade their skills or unlock new items at the research table. Skilled cats can even take on specific roles aboard the ship, such as becoming a chef, janitor, fisherman, or even an affection collector. With morale high and your cats geared up and ready for battle, you can choose an island to sail to, depending on what loot is on offer. In the raid, you have a basic primary attack that uses stamina, as well as a special attack that uses mana. You can dodge or block incoming attacks, and even perform executions. The combat system was really fun, but we felt that not having full control of your crew could become frustrating at times.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
The building system was really satisfying, but we felt that there wasn't really enough control to customize your ship and make it feel like your own unique space. Our main issue though was that we didn't actually have an audience. If you were to represent gaming audiences as a Venn diagram, you would see cozy gamers here, sweaty gamers here, and this would be the small intersection of players that would be interested in our game.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
We also spent a lot of time polishing this game, and so once again we ignored our own advice about keeping the scope small. So let's take a look at a few examples where we actually did.
It's loading. You need to get Unity 7, dude.
We also took part in some game jam competitions, and so had to keep the scope small. For Ludum Dare 56, we made skyrats. Scavenge, steal, and squawk your way through the pier. Grab junk food, pop balloons, and cause chaos at high speeds as you chain moves together and score combos for more and more points. Just don't crash before time runs out. It was a lot of fun competing to see who could get the highest score and reach the top of the leaderboard. In the final results, we actually placed 5th overall and 2nd in fun. But when we uploaded it to itch, no one really seemed to be interested. For another jam, we joined up with our friends from Landfall before the upcoming Playtopia festival. A brand new arcade cabinet had just been built, but it still needed games to play on it. There was one catch though. Because of a design flaw, only 3 players could fit around the cabinet. So our challenge for the jam was to create some 3-player games for it. Our team created Fight Like Hell, an arcade brawler where you play as demons fighting in hell. The goal is simple. Knock your opponents off a crumbling platform into the fiery lava below. Punch, jump, and ground slam to attack. Or time your blocks just right to parry and stun your opponents. The first player to win 4 rounds wins the match. It was awesome to finally play the game on the cabinet, and everyone at the festival seemed to really enjoy it. We created Volvy, which was a game about our publisher's mascot, to celebrate their 15th year anniversary. In the game, you burrow underground to knock enemies out and uproot vegetables. After eating enough, your stomach fills and you poop out an upgrade to keep the gameplay interesting. Unfortunately, due to some family emergencies, A few of our team members had to head home early, but we were still able to make something fun. For another jam, we travelled to Mauritius, but unfortunately I got sick on the second day. Once I recovered, I still really wanted to make something, so we created a dreamlike, ethereal game that asks the deeply profound question. What if we could return to simpler times? What if we could return to Monke? Swing from branch to branch and try to reach the end as fast as possible. The procedural animations were fun to get working, but it definitely could have used a bit more time for polish.
No! No! No!
We tried our luck at creating another multiplayer game, this time a first-person shooter. Your goal is to collect all the artifacts scattered across a deforming map while fighting off waves of enemies. The shooting mechanic is especially interesting. The more enemies you group together, the more lasers are fired, which can quickly become a satisfying skill to master. As you eliminate enemies, you earn XP, which lets you call in stratagems using a connect-the-dots style drawing tablet, inspired by Helldivers. This can be used to call in a bombardment to rain hellfire down on enemies, or drop a pod that has a choice of upgrade to increase your reticle size, improve your chances of getting a critical hit, or even change all your lasers to green. You can also stack more weapons like shurikens and shoulder missiles, or even melee attacks that trigger when an enemy is within a certain range. When a teammate is downed, you can revive them by going to their body and taking their life force to another pod. Hopefully, you have a more helpful teammate when you're the one being revived. The game worked well overall, but the goal of collecting artifacts around the map didn't turn out to be as fun as we had hoped. Players also didn't seem to resonate with the shooting mechanic, even though we thought it might have been a fun twist. Still, it is important to experiment and try new ideas, because otherwise you'll just end up with more of the same. We went away again with our friends from Landfall and a few other studios to Thailand for Pirate Jam. The idea was that we would sail from island to island and make games along the way. While not everything went according to plan, we still had a great time and managed to make some awesome games. Gambling with Guns is a deck builder with gambling mechanics. Click on a limb to draw a random bullet from your deck and deal damage to the enemy. If the bullet drawn helps form one of the tricks in your deck, like matching numbers or suits with previous bullets, a multiplier is applied to increase the damage dealt when the bullet is fired. The bullets you have left over in your chamber then give you extra cash. But if you don't know what bullet is coming next, how are you supposed to know what to shoot at? After each round, you are presented with a few options at the shop to build your deck toward the tricks you have. For example, if you have the even numbers trick, you'll want more even numbered bullets in your deck to sample from. Special modifiers like lucky and glass bullets add an extra layer of complexity. And you can even expand your chamber, or use Final Stand to get one more shot if you run out of bullets. At the end of the jam, we actually had a vote for all the games made, and our game won, which was pretty cool. Going back 4 years ago, when I was still in university, I took a brief game design class as part of my computer science degree. Our final project was to create a small game. Our professor gave us some clear recommendations. Keep the scope small, and whatever you do, don't make a multiplayer game, or attempt a live demo during the presentation. But if you do, it's high risk, high reward. We took that as a challenge.
Challenge accepted.
Fall Guys was very popular at the time, and its design seemed simple enough that we might be able to build on the idea for our own game. Enter Ball Stars. Race to the bottom of a physics-based obstacle course and bump your competition out the way. Switch between balls of different weights and sizes to overcome obstacles and reach the finish line. Then watch as other players struggle to use a bowling ball to get over the fans. In total, there were 13 obstacles and 11 ball types, meaning there were over 500,000 unique matches, which was quite a cool number to bring up in our presentation. Last year, I decided to revisit the project and polish it up a bit further. So I created a mobile version and added a ton of extra features in order to get it into a releasable state. But why continue working on a project in a genre that was already busy dying? Could this be another victim of the sunk cost fallacy? Well, yes. But it's also because I was actually in contact with a big YouTuber with millions of subscribers who was going to help promote the game. Unfortunately, that fell through. It's still a pretty polished experience though, and I was happy with how it turned out. Now, if you'd like to try it out, then it is available for free on mobile, but it's also available on Steam. Speaking of which, I actually got into contact with that YouTuber because he asked me to make a game for him. At the time, he was really into Minesweeper and wanted a modern version. In case I'm now the old timer here. It's just a puzzle game where you reveal tiles on a grid to avoid the hidden bombs. The game turned out really polished, with a great feel, lots of features, and tons of levels. Of course, hardly anyone played it. But I still think it's a good quality product. And if I were really into Minesweeper, I could actually see myself getting into it. Now this one's a bit different. Stick to the Stickman is a game that has been in development for a while. And some of you may even remember the itch demo from 5 years ago. Unlike the more jam-like games in this video, this was a much larger project that was published by Devolver Digital with a significantly bigger budget. While I wasn't involved in the whole game's development, I still did my part at the company by creating the community level builder. I've always loved making tools that allow players to create, and it's been incredible to see how creative the community can be. From failing so much, I became incredibly exhausted and burnt out. It's very demoralizing to work on projects that you think will do well, only for them to just flop. But that's this industry, and even successful studios have a hard time navigating it. It's hard work when you're nearing a deadline and spending late nights at the office. And even when you're back home, you're constantly thinking about the problem you're trying to solve. But when the project releases and you see players enjoying your game, it all becomes worth it. But Daniel, you said there were 15 games. This is 13? Okay, well the one is Creature Crafter. Yes, Crafter. But that's a topic for a whole other video. But then what on earth could that be?